Wide receiver Xavier Worthy is already making waves in Chiefs training camp. He looks poised to have a productive rookie season, but how productive? Could Xavier Worthy be worthy of the Offensive Rookie of the Year award? Well, we have one article from Bleacher Report positing just that. I was down at, that's a preview of tonight's video. I will have another video tonight around the 7 o'clock hour, but that video will be on Marquise Brown. Top 10 Offensive Rookie of the Year candidates from NFL.com by Lance Zierlein. Zierlein does pretty good work, so it's worth, I think, looking at this article. He starts the article off as such. 1 year ago, Bijan Robinson, Bryce Young, and C.J. Stroud headlined my preseason ranking of the top Offensive Rookie of the Year candidates. But by the end of the year, the competition had turned into a battle between a headline-grabbing quarterback, Stroud, a record-breaking fifth-round wideout in Puka Nacua. Of course, Stroud ultimately took home the hardware, and, as you would expect, quarterbacks factor prominently on my list this year, with Caleb Williams at the top and Jaden Daniels not far behind him. J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix are in the mix, too, after finding themselves in spots with either great surrounding talent, McCarthy, or a perfect scheme to settle into, Nix. My two highest-rated prospects for 2024 draft were both wide receivers. So it should come as to no surprise that I believe Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors have legitimate shots at securing a spot on the rookie version of the Iron Throne as well. Before we move on to my rankings, let's take a brief look at some historical trends. I've worked some historical trends into my video portion of this as well. But Zierlein continues, C.J. Stroud was the first Houston Texans player to win Offensive Rookie of the Year award in the franchise's history. No tight end or offensive lineman has ever won the award, but Zach Martin finished second in 2014 with 7 first-place votes. If the first overall pick, Caleb Williams, wins the award this season, he would be the first Offensive Rookie of the Award from USC since Marcus Allen. Noted Kansas City Chief Marcus Allen, though he won the award with the Raiders in 1982. The list itself includes Xavier Worthy at the number 7 spot, saying this: Xavier Worthy, Kansas City Chiefs, drafted round 1, number 28 overall. Worthy amassed less than 14 yards per catch and finished with a modest number of receiving touchdowns, 5, in 2023. But after studying his tape, it's fairly easy to project a more explosive rookie season for him with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes at the helm of the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Texas didn't always take advantage of opportunities to strike deep with Worthy, but I don't foresee the same dynamic playing out in Kansas City. He has instant gas to ravage coverage over the top and can be an electric catch and run option when defenses give him too much room underneath. His size, 5'11" and 165 pounds, and issues with making contested catches are a concern. But as soon as Worthy was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, I knew he belonged in the Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation. Now, just from there forward, we have Xavier Worthy listed as the number 7 prospect to win Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate or Offensive Rookie of the Year award. And is that fair? Well, judging on the logic going in, it would seem fair. But when you look at the aforementioned 2023 award, man, no one saw Puka Nacua coming, and I think Puka Nacua should have ultimately won the award. But nobody saw that coming. So there are any number of circumstances that will spring up during the season that we will not know until the season comes. So who are some Kansas City Chiefs of the past who have won Rookie of the Year awards? Well, in 1989, the AP awarded the Defensive Rookie of the Year award to Derek Thomas. In 1992, the AP awarded the Defensive Rookie of the Year award to Dale Carter. As far as I know, those are the only 2 Rookie of the Year awards to go to the Chiefs. It's maybe I overlooked something, maybe I have forgotten it in the since I put these notes together. No offensive Rookie of the Year awards have gone to the Kansas City Chiefs. So, the odds, what are the odds of a wide receiver winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year award? In 2022, Garrett Wilson did this with the Jets, having 83 receptions, 1,103 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. Very good season, even if he were a veteran. In 2021, Ja'Marr Chase won the award. So back-to-back seasons of wide receivers winning the award. He did it for the Bengals. I shouldn't have said his name. That should have been the one I went with. But 81 receptions, 1,455 yards, and 13 touchdowns. Very good season. How did I do that? I misspelled Bengals. There we go, Bungles. 81 receptions, 1,455 yards, and 13 touchdowns. That is an all-pro type of season. In 2014, so it was 7 years earlier, that another wide receiver took home the award. It was Odell Beckham Jr. for the Giants with 91 receptions, 1,305 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Now, around that 2014 season was when we really started to see the NFL become the receiving, passing, catching league that it really has become. It was in the 2010 sort of region that all of this really started to break out. So for those 2010s to have had just one wide receiver take home the Offensive Rookie of the Year award maybe goes a little bit further to show how rare the award is for wide receivers. In 2009, we have an interesting case here from Percy Harvin of the Vikings. 60 receptions, 790 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Not all that impressive. He was also, however, a kick returner. He was a multifaceted player for the Vikings. He had 1,156 yards in kick returning yards and 2 touchdowns. So, a good season as a receiver, 60 receptions, 790 yards, 6 touchdowns, but you're adding a little bit of sugar on top of that production. Should that count? It's hard to say. You are winning Offensive Rookie of the Award, not Special Teams Rookie of the Year award, right? Then you have to go back to 2009 before you get to Anquan Boldin for the Cardinals, who won the Rookie of the Year award with 101 receptions, 1,377 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Now, the thing that should maybe stand out when you're looking at these numbers is that to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year award as a wide receiver, you're really having a great season, whether it's for a rookie or not. How great a season? Now, here's the thing. When we look at the average numbers, these are going to be I took the average of the last 5 guys to do it. However, these are going to be brought down greatly by the 2009 Percy Harvin Award. However, if I went back to the last 6, we're getting all the way back to Randy Moss. Randy Moss, as a rookie, had an absolutely insane season. So maybe it would have been fair to do 6 and have one guy that was kind of below average for the receiving stats in Percy Harvin, one guy that was Randy Moss. But the average season that you have to have from the last 5 examples of wide receivers who won Offensive Rookie of the Year, you have to have 83 receptions, 1,206 receiving yards, and 9 touchdowns. What does that look like for a 17-game season? It's 5 receptions per game, 71 yards per game, and over a half a touchdown per game with 0.53 touchdowns per game, meaning that every other week you have to score a touchdown. In fact, better than every other week you have to score a touchdown. Now, there have been, in this time, 5 Offensive Rookie of the Year wide receivers in the past 21 years. In that same time, there have been 10 quarterbacks who have won the award and 6 running backs who have won that award. There have been 11 wide receivers since 1967 to win that award. So if we go back up here, looking at that average season necessary to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year for a wide receiver. Now, this is from the guys who have won it. There have undoubtedly been numerous wide receivers. Puka Nacua, by the way, would bring these averages up, who have had absolutely phenomenal seasons, but there's been a rookie playing offense that has had an even better season. Personally, I don't see any of the quarterbacks from this draft being a real threat in their first year. Is it possible that one of them absolutely goes off and has an insane season? Yeah, absolutely. There's a whole lot of talent in this draft. This was a very good draft for quarterbacks. Very top. I don't even know if Joe Milton looked really good for the Patriots. So I think he's a dark horse candidate to start for them, by the way, if they can admit maybe some of their sins of the past. He's a guy, this isn't a weird tangent to take here, but he's a guy that's going to be a better pro than college receiver, a better pro than prospect. But can Xavier Worthy hit these numbers of 83 receptions, 1,206 yards, and 9 touchdowns? The number here that looks most outlandish to me for Xavier Worthy and the type of football that he plays would be the 83 receptions. I don't know that he's going to get that many opportunities because you have Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown and Travis Kelce in the same offense. To accumulate 83 receptions, you're looking at north of 100 targets. That's possible. Absolutely, it's possible. I don't know how likely it is. If Xavier Worthy hits any of these numbers, if he hits 83 receptions, if he hits 1,206 receiving yards, if he hits 9 touchdowns, any one of these numbers, it means absolutely phenomenal things for the Kansas City Chiefs during this season because, like we said, all of the talent that is going onto the field for the Chiefs offense, if the guy who is maybe the third receiver, maybe the fourth target for this Kansas City Chiefs team, and I think you have to admit Travis Kelce's number one, Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown, those guys are going to flip-flop who it is that you think is the number 2 target for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's going to end up being Hollywood Brown. It's looking more and more like Rashee Rice will not be suspended this season. If that is the case, if Rashee Rice is not suspended this season, it's going to be massive for this team. If Xavier Worthy hits any of those 3 numbers, 83 receptions, 1,206 yards, 9 touchdowns, this team is going to be the number 1 seed in the playoffs. There's no way that the Chiefs' number 4 target has any of these numbers, and they're not a 14-2 team. They're not a fifth. They're not a, or it would be 14-3 team. They're not a 15-2 team. They're not a 16-1 team. If Xavier Worthy hits any of these numbers, the Chiefs are having an incredible and electric season. Can he do this? Can he hit these numbers? I think so. I think that the Chiefs' offense that we're going to see this season is going to be something different than we have ever seen before. Andy Reid has too much spring in his step this preseason to not be working on things that are going to be very experimental and that he thinks have a very high chance of working in the NFL. Remember, we've already seen behind the back passes from Patrick Mahomes. We've already seen quadruple passes between Mahomes and Kadarius Toney. Do I think we're going to see any of those things in the games? No, I don't. The reason I'm mentioning that we're seeing them is simply this. The Kansas City Chiefs feel like they have time to have fun in practice. The Kansas City Chiefs feel that they have some type of leeway in their minute-by-minute usage of time. And this is a team that has been super strict on time in the preseason. Why? Because that's where you lay the foundation for your entire season. So, Xavier Worthy being the 7th most likely player to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, that's probably just about right. That's probably just about right. It's difficult to win it as a wide receiver. There's a couple running backs that I think are going to be, who are underrated in this draft heading into the season. There's a guy in Denver that I think might be a 1,000-yard rusher, by the way. So the quarterbacks always have an upper hand in this. I mean, you have to look no further than Puka Nacua somehow not winning Offensive Rookie of the Year to see that, to understand that. So there's a lot of stuff that could go right for other players that will push Xavier Worthy down the list. However, if Xavier Worthy is in the discussion and the Kansas City Chiefs find themselves 15-2, something like that, I think that much is going to weigh into the decision as well. Regardless, looking at these numbers and seeing the 83 reception, 1,206 yard, 9 touchdown sort of bar, that sort of threshold, meaning 5 receptions per game, 71 yards per game, and 0.53 touchdowns per game, puts it on a very tangible level as to what would have to happen for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to end up throwing the ball 50 times a game this year. I really do. I think that they are putting themselves in position where they have threats. They have a multivalent offensive receiving threat in that you have guys like Rashee Rice, who are very good at the line of scrimmage and who proved himself in the playoffs to be very good at the 10 to 15-yard downfield range. You have guys like Marquise Brown. You have guys like Xavier Worthy, who are very, very good deep threats. At least we're assuming Xavier Worthy will be a deep threat. Marquise Brown has proven himself to be a deep threat in the NFL. You have guys like Travis Kelce who are still going to own the middle of the field from 5 to 15 yards downfield. Suddenly you have Jared Wiley, who looks to me to be the real deal at tight end. And that's going to be a guy, I think he's going to if he gets the type of playing time that I think, he may threaten for the team high in receiving touchdowns. Because I think that what you're going to end up seeing is Travis Kelce being kept on the sidelines a little bit more, perhaps, than normal, because they don't need to put him through that stress during the season, save him for the playoffs. You're going to see him, Jared Wiley, utilized in the red zone a whole lot. And this team, with this multivalent offense, is going to have a hard time justifying running the ball because of the stress that it puts on your offensive linemen. There is a whole lot more concussive and jarring impact on a running play than on a passing play for your offensive linemen. Your offensive linemen aren't having to shoot off the ball. They're taking pass drops. So long as whatever's going on at the left tackle position gets figured out, so long as Jawan Taylor reverts to form at the right tackle position, I think you're looking at a team that's going to throw the ball 50 times a game, just because that is a lower impact, higher result type of offense. And you can when you have these players, this multivalent type threat offense, you don't have to, you look at plays like throwing the ball to Rashee Rice at the line of scrimmage as an extended running play, and it's a pass. Patrick Mahomes' arm is moving forward. That is a pass play. It functions for your offense a lot like a running play, except that your offensive linemen aren't taking an absolutely brutal beating while it happens, so that they will be healthier longer into the preseason or into the postseason. You're not risking Patrick Mahomes taking a hit the way you're not risking Patrick Mahomes taking a hit by handing the ball off. If Patrick Mahomes catches the snap and releases, I just threw my pen, and releases the football, you're not risking him taking a hit there as well. So one of the things that might aid Xavier Worthy in this quest to win Offensive Rookie of the Year would be if he proves himself as an at the line of scrimmage threat. He was one in college. The cornerbacks in college aren't as big, and Xavier Worthy is the same size. So if he can establish himself as a guy that's not going to take the big hit at the line of scrimmage, that's going to help him. Also, as we saw with Percy Harvin being a multifaceted threat, if Xavier Worthy establishes himself as the punt returner for the Kansas City Chiefs, that will factor into this as well. It shouldn't, maybe, but I think it will. Now, that is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do on the channel, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Kansas City Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one. Also, don't forget, I will have a video later tonight about Hollywood Brown as well, and I hope to have you back for that one.